Hey everyone, here we are, year 7 of the District 1 high school wrestling preview. On the screen you can see I'm flanked on both sides by Nate Heckenberger and Glenn Kaiser. They've been, we've been together now quite a few years, and we're excited for another opportunity to preview the season, talk a little wrestling. We got a lot in store for today. Preview. We're going to do it in 3 separate installments so that we can kind of break it up and make it as easy as possible to digest. We're going to hit on a lot of stuff, a lot of new stuff between girls wrestling, and we're obviously going to do our top rankings. We're going to talk about returning wrestlers. We're going to hit a little bit of everything, guys. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for being part of this.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
We got to thank Mike. Mike's in the background doing this thing as usual. But, we're ready to go and jump right in here with our first of 3 videos. And, we're going to put it up on the screen here in a second. We're going to get to it. So we start off with this year. We have 11 new coaches here in District 1. And as you can see on the screen, some familiar names and some new names. And we'll just, we'll talk a little bit about some of the guys that we know. One of the things that everyone was surprised at was in the offseason, Coach Stone Perry from Council Rock South, the only coach they've ever known, had hung it up. And, his one of his former wrestlers, guy who's on his staff for a long time, Trey Velasco, took the reins of that program. From my understanding, and maybe Glenn, since he's a godfather of Suburban One, can elaborate a little bit more. I believe most of the staff has stayed intact, so I don't expect much drop off out of that Council Rock South program. I'm sorry, Glenn, care to chime in anything there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the staff kind of stays intact. I think Trapp is going to be there. Obviously, Knobloch and the rest of the crew. So not a big change in the system here at all. It'll be interesting to see how Velasco leads the team and makes moves. But certainly there's a lot of veteran voices in terms of making chess moves in these big matches that they're going to have. But, I mean, again, the program's not going to change. I mean, the system's there. And it's pretty much the same staff. But Velasco has big shoes to fill. I mean, this is a tough job. I mean, I came in and took over for Ralph Wetzel, Hall of Fame coach, and it's not easy the first year, regardless of the talent you have, the system, the facilities, and the support of your boosters and all that. It really is tough to navigate through, but he's going to have plenty of help. And this is a program that's not going to skip a beat here with Velasco at the head.
So we're not going to talk about all 11. And I know Nate will have something to chime in. Avon Grove picks up Rob Begley from Westchester Henderson. And Nate, you're close to the Chessmont. What are your thoughts on this move?
Yeah, it's been a move that's kind of been in the works the last couple of years. Rob's son getting to junior high down there, so I think he wanted to make that move. He lives down there in Avon Grove. So, yeah, we kind of wanted to get in there a couple of years ahead of his son and kind of try to build it up, for a little run there while his son's a wrestler at Avon Grove. It'd be interesting to see how that kind of develops. Obviously, Avon Grove hasn't been one of the stronger programs in District 1. But obviously, Begley, did some really nice things at Henderson, the year-round wrestling, the club he helped out with. Obviously, he's going to change the culture there pretty quickly. It'll be interesting to see how much that actually, how fast that can actually change. And obviously, Henderson, leaving a decent core behind for Joe Gartland to kind of take over. And he's a young coach. It's been 10 years already since he was in the state finals. But, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he takes over Henderson. And obviously, Mark Chaffetz at Westchester East taking over for John Gallo. Some veteran names leaving the national division for sure.
Yeah, Chaffetz,
yeah. Can I just jump?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just jump in there about Begley going to Avon Grove. I'd spoken to the AD at Avon Grove the last couple of years about coming back to the Wetzel, and they just weren't there yet. But she said they're going to be there in a couple of years, and now Begley shows up. So I don't know if she knew something in advance or not, but certainly that's a big change for their program because they do have the support there. But they, it was a numbers game for them, and I think Begley will get the team together, and the numbers will come. So that's big for them. And then before you go back to, I don't know where you were going, but I do want to talk about North Penn. So when you want to go there, let me know.
That's where I was going. I want to.
Yeah,
I
go
was going to
ahead.
say from a personal standpoint, it'll be really weird not seeing Shetz around. He hung it up at North Penn. From a standpoint, Shetz was a guy I met early on in my young coaching career, and always was up to talk. There will be no more "Yo, coach" being yelled at tournaments. No more,
Yo,
carrying
buddy.
the
Yo,
yeah, no,
buddy.
yo, buddy. No more carrying the cartoon size jug arounds that he was known for. But he was always a guy. There were several times where we combined with him at the Bear Duels at Boyertown, and just a great guy, great coach, ambassador to the sport. So he'll be missed. And Colin Shannon, one of his former wrestlers, picked up the mantle there. So Glenn, I know you want to talk about it. I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, just wanted to comment about Sets. I mean, for me, you know, Ed Clement back in the day and Shetz. I mean, those are the only two coaches I really remember at North Penn since I was wrestling in high school. I mean, they had a couple guys in there in between, but Zach Freiling, obviously, Shetz's right hand man for many years. I mean, this is going to be an interesting change. I like Colin Shanahan here. North Penn has the numbers in the building. They have many programs, kind of feeding into the high school here. So this could be a bit of a change for North Penn. I mean, they could come back around with Shanahan. It's not going to happen overnight. But I think this is a good thing for North Penn. And obviously, Shetz is going to be missing. He's going to be a Hall of Famer if he isn't already. It's pretty big change here at North Penn. So it's going to be something to keep an eye on. And I think it'll play out over the next couple of years. I mean, same thing with a couple of these other guys, coming in. We're going to see those first years are really difficult sometimes, taking over for a long-time coach.
Yeah, PV has Jared Dubbs come back for his second stint at head coach. Coming on off of a great run. I shouldn't say coming off a great run. PV's in a great run right now. A lot of talent, a lot of buzz in that program, and it's one of those programs that I think was always like a sleeping giant. If you got the the right people in the right places, and you're definitely seeing that now. They're benefiting from that, having state medalists, come somewhat regular basis last few years. Kelly Kakos, one of the Pasco brothers. I don't want to say the name and be wrong, but just having the Pasco brothers in general, along with Kakos. They have Tansini coming back. We're going to talk probably a little bit about him a little bit later in one of our other videos. So, he comes into a good situation at PV where, he's not coming into a bare cupboard at all. And, he's coming in looking to, keep the program moving that same direction and improve upon it. So, he's in a good situation there. Some of the other guys, Rick Drake coming into a Phoenixville program that had like 4, 5, 6, only 6 guys last season. From what I understand, they're up over 13 to 15 right now, and they're getting more bodies out. So right away, his his presence is being felt within the numbers in that program. And again, it's going to take time. And like you said, Glenn, you come in these programs, it sometimes that first year can be brutal. And you got to get it numbers game, to quote you got to get bodies in the room. You got to start coaching them up and getting them where they need to be.
All right, we're going to move on here to our next section. Mike, you want to pop up our girls graphic here? We'll talk a little bit about this. We have 27 District 1 schools now with girls wrestling. Girls wrestling, if you don't know, has been sanctioned now by the PIAA. We're going to wrestle right along with the boys here, AA and AAA in Hershey. This is going to be absolutely crazy. We don't have a lot of information on that, but leading up to the state tournament, we know we're going to have 2 district sites at Boyertown and William Tennant. Looks like they're going to go on February 17th, a week before the boys get rocking and rolling in the postseason. Regionals then will be up at Quakertown. That'll combine District 1, District 12, and District 11. Along with our 27 qualifiers going to regionals. And if you can see, there's a lot of new teams here. Happer Horsham is a new one this year, along with probably almost half of these, Mike, are brand new. Mike can't even talk to me into my headset and let me know. But as you can see, there's some big schools on here. Quakertown now is in the mix, Neshaminy, Council Rock South, Pennsbury, Penridge, all adding Owen J. Roberts. So you can see that Boyertown as well. I mean, it clicked immediately. So we're going to see a large girls state tournament along with this. And again, don't know really what it's going to look like. Nate was talking to Mike off camera a little bit, and Nate, maybe you can share a little bit what you think it's going to look like with 6 mats out there for 3 days.
I have no idea what it'll look like, but it's going to be interesting. The reaction, I think it's going to, definitely warrant some strong reactions from a lot of fans, and hopefully it doesn't go over too poorly. But I think obviously change is a big deal, and people hated it when they took away the single mat for the finals, and now there's going to be even more wrestling going on during the finals potentially, if that's the way they end up going. So it'd be interesting to see. But if they have 6 mats going during the finals, it's going to be it's going to be interesting with blood time and injuries and how long that'll take potentially, and trying to get all the groups in and out for 3 days. It'll be quite the experiment they're going to try this year.
Yeah, just to add one more thing with the girls, most of these teams are not going to wrestle dual meets. They're going to be wrestling in events, pretty much every weekend, various tournaments throughout the state. Some of the boys' tournaments have the girls wrestling. So it'll be interesting to see how many events the girls can get in this year under the first year, with that PIAA, a title in front of the girls wrestling. So keep an eye out for the girls out there. I know we have a list of state medalists. Mike, can you pop that up? So you can see we have a good list of, District 1 returning state place winners, obviously led by 2 champions in Haley Jaffe and Caroline Hadala from Quakertown. So Kennett and Quakertown leading the way with the girls. Obviously, this list is pretty deep. You go right on down. You can see it's a good mix of schools as well, not just one school jumping out. I know we had another girl, I believe, is transferred from Bensound to Conwell Egan. That was also a place winner. I don't think that's on the list here, but you can see District 1 does really well up there. I believe the girls' tournament's been at least 3 years prior, moved around in a couple different spots until they settled in out there in Central PA. So, District 1, you got some things to watch here with girls wrestling. Keep an eye on these girls through the postseason and all the way up into Hershey. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about all the wrestlers, but obviously Haley Jaffe, you see her there, a 2-time state champ. I saw just on the mat.com, she was ranked 6th pound for pound in the country. Obviously a really good talent down there in Kennett. I think she's ranked 1st in the country at 135. So, obviously a cool opportunity for some of these girls who do really well. And she was one of those girls that kind of hung with the boys pretty well when she had to go out there. And it'd be cool for them just to have this experience to go out and win their own tournaments.
While we don't know what it looks like, and I was one of the people who was against, leaving the 1 mat at states, to have like 3 state championship matches being wrestled at once. Like, I think it's good in a way. Maybe I'm in the minority there, but like I look at it from the aspect that there's going to be more attention on more wrestlers. How many people go up and only go up see AAA? Especially from District 1, because they're not that well. Again, in years past, up until like Faith Christian's run here, or the beginning of this run they're going to be on with all the talent they have, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But you're going to get more eyes on AA, at least from District 1 standpoint of those that are up there. So there's some positives to it. I know it's not going to go over well probably as a whole, or at least maybe 50-50. It'll be split. But 6 mats during the finals, it's going to be chaotic. And to your point, Nate, logistically they might find after year 1 that it's not a sustainable model.
I mean, the PIAA is running it, so what could possibly go wrong, right?
I'm not going to comment on that, Nate. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah,
Because they always have the kid's best interest in mind.
absolutely. Do we lose Glenn?
I think we may have. So, new rules for 23-24. And Mike, if is there a graphic to put up for that?
I think we talked a little off air. The biggest change was the wait time in between bouts moving from 45 minutes to 30 minutes. I think there was not too much else that was drastic this year, so that was probably the biggest one.
I think that's going to be huge for these larger tournaments where, you get to those wrestlebacks and, it gets held up because you're not at 45 minutes. I think it's going to really help some tournaments move a little bit quicker. And I think that I couldn't be in more agreement to that rule. You think about a kid going hard for an hour in practice, 2 hours in practice. Why were we limiting them to one match every 45 minutes? Again, that my 2 cents, and why are we, you go to these national tournaments, you go to these other tournaments, and kids are wrestling 11, 6, 7 matches in a day. And so I think that match or that new rule moves us in the right direction, gets things, moving where they should be, and it'll get some tournaments done quicker, especially, like I said, the larger ones.
Yeah,
I
sorry
think that's
guys, I had to
cool.
check out. I told you my stepdad's in the hospital. Anyway, getting back to this, we talked about, is that the 6 match or the 30-minute rule, joke? You talking about both there?
We're talking about 30-minute.
Yes, and the 6 match rule now is going to be applied during the regular season. Those are the only really big changes. Instead of just for the postseason, you can wrestle 6 in a day in a tournament for a regular season match and tournament. So that makes sense. The 30-minute thing, that this thing should have been changed long ago, Joe. You know that even with the JV matches back in the day, they used to hold up a varsity match or a JV match because a kid wrestled. And now with exhibitions and everything else, I mean, this just makes perfect sense. And like you said, you go to these big tournaments. I mean, these guys are wrestling back to back. So the PIAA and the federation are starting to come around a little bit on some of this stuff.
I know in years past, I've been to some middle school tournaments where, the tournament director was like, we're not going to abide by the 45-minute rule. And if you come and tell me you want your wrestler to have 45 minutes, we'll give it to you. If you come and tell us that someone wrestled more than once in 45 minutes, you're not coming back to the tournament. So, it for that same principle, I couldn't get behind this any more than I already am. I think it's great to not have to wait that full 45 minutes anymore. And the 6 matches, how many times have you seen? Again, it doesn't happen super often, but how many times you see a kid in a tournament can't wrestle in a medal match because he's already hit his 5 matches for the day, and one was
Well, and
one could have been like a bye, but it counts as a match, and it's like, okay, well, you're out of matches.
yeah, well, as soon as you expand these brackets, at tournaments for especially an in-season tournament, and you have a kid wrestle back like that, and can't wrestle that match as a coach and as a kid, you're just like, you got to be kidding me. So the rule makes sense, and like I said, it's just long overdue. I mean, if you've been coaching, as long as we have, or around the sport as long as we have, it just makes perfect sense. And I don't think there's any medical concerns or any concerns about kids getting injured any less or any more with that extra time being taken off.
All right, folks, that
I don't think
wraps it
there's any
up.
other rules.
No, that's it. And I'm just going to wrap us up here for this first video. The first one's always gets kind of like, a few of the, new coaches, and we got to add girls wrestling to it this year, which was great. And, like Glenn talked about, all these programs, I love how these programs, like, it was like a domino effect. Not to go back to that. I mean, one, then the other, then the other. And before we knew we got to the 100, got sanctioned. And that swell that started, mid-season to end of the year last year, everyone jumped on it. I know Jay did. They got like 9 girls on it. I saw them leaving for a scrimmage today. And, the interesting, it's great. We have I think we have 9 on the team now. We got another 4 or 5 in the middle school, and in a lot of our youth program. It is definitely a growing sport. And the fact now that they have their own is going to only make it, make it greater.
Yeah, they're gonna. I
So
think Chris Atkinson's gonna jump on later. Mike's gonna get a piece for him, just to kind of add into what's going on out there. But again, thanks again to Chris Atkinson, Joe Savolito, all the people that were behind that girls movement here in PA to get wrestling sanctioned. So, well done.